Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is October 13th, 2022, and today is Thursday morning. So once again, but this time it's Facebook making new yearly lows. So as we look at the major economic events of today, so out of the United States at 2:30 South African time, a very important inflationary report coming out. It's yearly and monthly this time. CPI numbers coming out. Now, as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the yen, the Canadian dollar, and the Australian dollar all on their lows versus the USD. The indices, the Dow Jones inches lower, while the Nasdaq is really on its lows. Looking at commodities, gold and oil trickle lower as well. And looking at the stocks, Cisco and Facebook trade to new yearly lows. Lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin pretty much unchanged and just trading still in a very tight range. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're starting with the Australian dollar, and you can see it's really on its low, a 62.75-ish level right there. Now, nothing really big happening that it should not take us even lower, as this is really no end in sight to a low. I mean, if we look at a monthly, the only other time that we've been around these areas was in the pandemic of 2020 and 2008 at the credit crunch crisis. So if we're not in a crisis now, then I don't know what is a crisis. If we look at the Japanese yen, new yearly lows once again versus the US dollar. If we look at a monthly chart, or a historic chart for that matter, I mean, this goes all the way back to 2020, 2000, and that's over 20 years ago. And you can see we've hit that plateau and we've broken it. I mean, 135 was the all-time low, and we're at 146. And if we go to 146, we could go to 150 for that matter as well. Now, looking at Canadian dollar, also trading as its lows at 138. Historical speaking, we've been about this area once before, okay, and have been lower at 161. So there is still room here for us to continue getting lower and possibly going to the 150-ish level. Now, jumping into commodities, looking at gold first, we're just hovering and trickling down below this support level at 1671, but nothing really to write home about here. Crude oil also just trickling down just underneath $90 at $87 a barrel. Now, when we do look at the US market, starting out with the Dow Jones. So this is a weekly chart. Let's look at a daily chart. We're trading right now 29,296, not far down. Okay, just slightly lower this morning, but it did look like it was getting weaker this morning as it traded as low as 28,850, and that's about a 500-point move on the downside. Now, for all intents and purposes, we have a lot coming up. Tomorrow, JP Morgan's going to come out with their quarterly earnings. That's the first of the major companies coming out. So we're going to be looking at it quite carefully. Nothing big happened from yesterday's event, so that's a little bit humbling and hopefully a decent look. Now, looking at the Nasdaq, look, it's on its dead lows. It's making new lows below 11,000, which is big. 10,800, and if we do break that 10,000 level, then we could even go a little further. Weekly chart, we broke that 200-day moving average, as you can see, and we're just inching lower, and we're kind of teased by it. Facebook, new lows at 127. Look at that. That is very important, and this takes us from where we were. Again, in the year 2000, when we sold off, we went as low as 137. We're breaking that here. We're low under that from the beginning of the pandemic, which means to imply that we can even go lower here if this continues to its momentum on the downside. Now, looking at Cisco, also on its lows, $39 a share, new lows for the year, as you can see that on the daily. And that is also very specific because not all the stocks are going at the same time. Sometimes it's Intel, sometimes it's Microsoft, sometimes it's Cisco. Now, Cisco is a major company. It's also a bellwether, just like Intel is. So these are the type of things I'm looking at right now to give me some clue as to which way the market's going. Apple traded lower as well to 138, but not breaking to new lows, at least not yet. I mean, next week is going to be the unfolding of all the FANG stocks in terms of the earnings season as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, trading at 18,996. not doing much. I'd rather focus my time on some of the things that are moving much more, which is more the stocks and the US market. So just kind of refocus yourself as to which way those markets are going to maximize your trades. This is Fred Razak, and we wish you guys a great trading day.